Well guys, afternoon. This afternoon we came over to Raptor Paint Jobs RGB. Uh, Supposedly they're having some issues with their, I believe it's a 96 f250. They wanted me to come check out suspension problems, stuff like that. So came over and well, let's see what they got. Well guys, let's go ahead and get started with this one. Maybe trying out this DeWalt little impact. I know they work fairly well, so I'm going to go ahead and use this for this one. Well guys, now that we got the tire off, we got to get that caliper bracket and well, the rotor, hub, all that off, so we can go ahead and undo the ball joints. Alright, let me go ahead and get that done. Well guys, the hex heads on these little Allen bolts are all stripped out, so I'm going to try and see if I can force one of these little Torx bits in there. It's a T25, and hopefully that'll get them off. So let me go ahead and try that. Well guys, as you can see, I mean, this thing's been parked for a while. Look at all this rust. I mean, this truck was neglected for somewhat. You can tell, look at the bearings. I mean, they're not rusted through or nothing, but they do have rust color, and the grease, no longer grease guys. Most of the parts over here, brass little bushy, stuff like that, was wore out. And this is a whole bunch of metal shavings or brass shavings that made that grease just clump up. This hub itself, we're going to clean it up and see if we can salvage the hub. Rotor, like I said, we are going to replace it, so we're not too worried about the rotor. But I mean, this thing's been neglected for quite a while. Let's see if we can get this. Guys, we submerged this little hub into paint thinner. I'm going to try and get as much of that old grease out of there, get it as clean as we can before we assemble it back together. We are installing new bearings, new seals, so it should roll a little bit easier. It should be nicer. So let me go ahead and let this soak for a little while, and let me go ahead and get that spindle off of that truck so I can go ahead and do those ball joints. Lower ball joint, upper ball joint, they've been there since the day it was born, I guess. And those U-joints look pretty nasty, so we can go ahead and pull that shaft out, replace those U-joints, and we're going to do the lower and upper ball joints. So let me go ahead and get this one off. Well guys, as you saw, we used a little 3-pound sledgehammer to persuade that cradle to come out, and it came out with both ball joints. So let me go ahead and get all this cleaned up and press those ball joints off. And we already pulled the shaft out, so we're going to replace the U-joints on that one, and we're going to have to put it back on. Well guys, I removed the bottom ball joint. Sorry about that, I didn't record it, but I'm going to go ahead and remove that upper ball joint, and I will get that on camera. I'm going to use that ball joint remover and installer to get this done. So there you go guys. I got to do that, and then got to get cleaned and painted before we install it. So let me go ahead and get that ball joint removed. Well, as you can see, guys, I put an oversized cup that is larger than the base of the ball joint. Used the extractor little cup at the end, and I ran the bolt through the lower ball joint hole. I'm going to go ahead and tighten that bolt in the back, and that's going to force the ball joint out. So let me go ahead and get that done. Well, guys, ball joints are off. We're going to go ahead and clean that up a bit more and use a little wire brush to scuff it. We're going to go ahead and install the new ones and then get it painted. Well, guys, I was going to blow all that dirt out of that I-beam, but we have an issue with the compressor, so as soon as we resolve that issue, we'll go ahead and get that cleaned up. For the meantime, I guess I'll go ahead and replace those universal joints on that drive shaft to get that one ready to get painted and installed. So let me go ahead and bring the drive shaft over and replace that universal joint on it. Well, guys, that's the drive shaft in question. Excuse the mess, but I am working in a tight space. These guys, well, I mean, they're doing work on their own stuff, so I don't want to take up any of their shelf space or countertop space. So came out in pieces. This thing was super old, dude, and it was super worn, missing little pins and stuff. So they came out in pieces, guys. So now I gotta use vice grips to pry this out. Well, guys, there's your U-joint. It was pretty messed up. As you can see, it's old, but we're gonna go ahead and replace these. So let me get this cap off and get the new one and install. Well, guys, if you can see, we replaced this little U-joint. The other one was just way gone. Set up little locks on there, and now, I mean, the U-joint feels a lot, I mean, drive shaft feels a lot more sturdier, I mean, stronger. So let's go ahead and get the other ones done and, well, paint this little thing so we can install it, make it black. Hi, guys. Guys, we got the drive shaft done, so let me go ahead and get these ball joints installed on this I guess you can call it a front spindle, whatever you want to call it, but let me go ahead and get those two ball joints on there. I'm going to use a press, a couple of adapters, and of course a little drill. It's a lot easier than using a hammer or whatever, so let me go ahead and get this one on, guys. Well, guys, while they're picking up the lower ball joint, because they sent us the wrong one. It was purchased on eBay and they sent the wrong lower ball joint. They're going to go buy it locally here at O'Reilly. So in the meantime, while I wait for them to come back with a ball joint, let me go ahead and spray paint this thing black, and let me do the drive shaft black also. So let me go ahead and get that done while I wait. Well, guys, we got the correct ball joint now, so let's go ahead and install this one and continue. All right, we still got quite a bit to go. Well guys, what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and pack the bearing up with grease, axle grease. Get it ready, drop it in, and install that seal on there so we can go ahead and assemble this bike. Well guys, there's installing bearings, universal joints, cleaning up everything, replacing the rotors, installing new brakes. But we got most of the stuff done today. I still have to do the other side, but it's going to be repetitious, so I'm not going to show that. And I'll just go ahead and, the suspension parts, I'll go ahead and get those tomorrow. I don't want to make the video too long, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that for another video. But this has been it on this one, guys. I'm just going to get the car back on it, and that'll be it. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Like and comment.